I still don't have what it takes. I must train harder. This time, victory is mine. Hadouken! I still don't have what it takes. I must train harder. This time, victory is mine. Hadouken! This time, victory is mine. Hadouken!
Hey everybody, welcome to Will and Drew's Gaming Retrospective. You are listening to episode 117. It's the week of March 14th, 2021. I'm your host, Drew, and I am joined by the pasty fellow to the right of me, Will. What's up, man?
Dude, I was looking too pink before, man. I had to set it on cool.
You don't need lights to be cool, bro.
I appreciate that, man.
Dude, like, I feel like our color temperatures are totally off right now because mine is like super orange and I still have daylight coming through and it's just really bizarre. But
it is bizarre, man. Like I have this curtain down here or this blind and I feel like I don't need it down.
Yeah.
The weather's all fucked up now.
You know, I don't know why I didn't even consider this, man. Like the curtains behind me are room darkening curtains. I didn't use them. I don't know. How the hell are you?
I'm well, man. I've got my ice cold C2O coconut water. This is my favorite beverage probably on the planet.
Nice.
I just had a wonderful dinner. Mm-hmm. And yeah, life is good, man. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You know, it's been a fairly busy weekend. Did some yard work. Took out a stump while we started, so that's always fun. But yeah, man, I've just I've been trying to take advantage of the weekend as much as possible. You know, daylight savings here in Connecticut, so it's brighter out longer, and it has been getting a little bit warmer. And I just I've got so much stuff I want to do that I don't want to let the opportunity slip by me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we just had some amazing weather. I don't know, what, 3-4 days ago? I can't remember now. Mm-hmm. And it was, close to 70? I think one day actually it was like 72 or something.
Yeah, the days I was at work, it was like high 60s. And then I get my days off, and it's like warm in the beginning of the day, and then it like plummets to like 20 degrees and snows. It's bullshit, man. It's just complete bullshit.
Yeah, there were some weird scattered flurries in the air. Just like a few, you know, that were just kind of floating across. Mm-hmm. And it was bizarre, man. Connecticut is such a bizarre state for weather.
It really is. Well, before we dive into things, let's give a shout out to our Twitch room, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Quick thanks to Epic Outro, Banks G35, Psychoro _Twitch, and Killer _Sirach. Do we need to say the underscores, or can we just say the names?
Just the name.
Really appreciate you guys stopping by. And folks, don't forget, we are live on Twitch every Monday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Just come on by and say hello. Of course, you can find us on the web at www.WDGRPodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGR Podcast. Will, if somebody would like to find you, how can they do so?
SoundCloud.com/Will_Gear.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at ScionStorm. That's the best place to find me. And I've completely forgot to launch our lower thirds, so let me get those rolling, shall we?
Roll them.
All right. You know, I feel like I am, for some reason, woefully unprepared for this episode, even though I spent quite a bit of time today preparing for this episode.
I feel like they came through, no?
What do you mean?
The lower thirds?
Oh, I hit yours, but then I forgot to turn on the ones for the site that just go on a loop.
Ah.
This is a very sophisticated process here, man. I have stream decks, I have plugins, I have countdown timers, I have cats that yell at me because I'm not paying enough attention to them. You know, it's a whole thing.
The cat's part sounded like my former life downstairs, and I'm glad that I'm not dealing with that anymore. I mean, fucking A, dude.
But now I feel like you need to like make this room your own, right? Like you have your computer in here, you have all of your equipment, but like where are the posters? Where are the nice pieces of art hanging up? Where is the Metal Gear Solid statue in the background? Like you need to absorb this room.
I think this is the start of it. This is kind of like the preamble. Like when we move, hopefully in May, God willing, I'm going to create a room just like this, where it's kind of like an office/game room /podcast room /music room, and just kind of put a bunch of stuff behind me that's going to help define it. So this is definitely the start of it, man, and it's given me a nice future layout for what this room is going to eventually look like.
Very nice, very nice. I do like that, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that room ends up looking like, man. I'm looking forward to you guys, you know, getting your own place and everything, you know?
No, I appreciate that, man. Apparently, Dave thinks I'm like a serial killer or something. Why would I have a torture victim pinned to the wall?
I mean, why wouldn't you?
That's fucked.
All right. Anyway, so let's get started first. We got some March Madness results to go over, shall we?
Yes.
All right.
Let's review.
So let me bring up my March Madness folder here, and I'm going to hope that everything is in order. And okay, so as we left it last week, we had quite a few matchups here, and we're coming down to the final groupings for each conference. You got your Sweet 16 that we're going through at the moment here. So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, we have been running a March Madness tournament to determine the WDGR champion of video games. And all the voting has been done by the fans on Twitter. So if this is something you want to get involved in, we still have a couple weeks left. But you can help us find the next WDGR champion. And just follow us on Twitter at WDGRPodcast to do that, and keep an eye out for the Twitter threads. So we have 16 teams left. Voting has been completed, and we're going to start whittling those down. So let's start taking a look at some of those results, shall we?
Let's whittle away.
Whittle away. All right. So we're going to start with the Northern Conference. And we have two matchups there. We got Demon Souls and Dark Souls against Halo. And we have Pokemon and taking on Final Fantasy. In the first round, Demon Souls and Dark Souls against Halo. Will, who do you think took the win on this one?
Demons. Really?
Well, let's see what the votes lined up with. It was a close one, but this one ends up going to Halo, 55% to 45%.
Wow, no way.
Yeah, man.
I'm kind of bummed, dude.
You know, I'm glad to see Halo move forward. I think it's a tremendous game franchise, but I'm pretty surprised with the amount of love for the Dark Souls games in our community that it just didn't quite make it, man.
Yeah, this is bizarre. I mean, I'm kind of with you on the Halo part, though. Like, it's sort of like an underdog when it comes to this matchup in some ways. But yeah, unexpected to say the least.
Well, Halo will move on, but who are they going to face? Let's find out. Between Pokemon and Final Fantasy, who you got for this one?
It's my guts tell me FF, man.
Well, let's take a look. Another surprise here, man. Pokemon taking the win, beating Final Fantasy 57% to 43%.
Who are these voters?
I mean,
I'm
this
trying
one
really hard to keep it together right now.
You poor thing, you.
I know. Give me a box of tissues.
Don't worry. I suspect things will work out for you in the end here. Pokemon's a unique beast. I've never personally seen the appeal for it, but I do understand why people are so passionate about it. Whereas Final Fantasy, I think, has some inconsistencies in the franchise. Not every game is a home run. Pokemon does seem to be more of a consistent winner, I would say, overall.
So strange to me, man. But hey, it is what it is, I guess. 21 votes.
Yeah. So let's take a look and see what we're looking at for the next match. So Halo will be taking on Pokemon to determine the Northern Conference champion. Now that's a weird matchup. Master Chief against Charizard. What do you think?
God. Oh, man. I don't know, man. I'm still trying to digest it. Is it Charizard?
Charizard.
Bulbasaurus was always my go-to, so...
Go with the Bulba.
Bulba, go. I probably said that in my young teenage years.
Yeah, I can see you as a Bulbasaurus fan. Anyway, let's take a look at the next round here in the Southern Conference. We got Doom and Dead Space taking on Super Mario and Metal Gear Solid. So let's dive right into that. Starting out with Doom versus Dead Space. Man, this is a cutthroat one for me. Two of my favorite games. Obviously, Doom is such a beloved franchise in my eyes. But Dead Space, man, especially after replaying Dead Space 1 last year, ooh, what a great game. You have any?
I agree with Damien there. Both are winners here. This is tough. These are tough brackets.
Well, there can be only one winner, sir. Let's take a look and see who took the victory here.
I'm going to guess Doom.
Doom with the runaway, 63% to Dead Space's 37%.
I think this proves that Dead Space is more of a niche franchise than perhaps we thought.
I mean, it's kind of tough because I think Doom has such a grand history, and it's a beloved game. But there's a lot of crossover between the two franchises, too. People that love Doom tend to love Dead Space as well. As Epic Outro notes, Doom has 30 years, and that's a good point. You know, as good as Dead Space is, it just really can't touch that lineage. And for all intents and purposes, Dead Space is kind of a dead franchise at this point. So
it pretty much is.
Let's take a look at the next match. Moving on to Super Mario versus Metal Gear Solid. I'm gonna kick it to you.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, Drew. If Mario wins, I'm unplugging this microphone and turning my ring light off cool. I'm shutting down GarageBand and I'm closing Google Chrome and I'm walking away.
Oh my God. Please don't
Forever.
do that. Please don't do that. I'm really afraid to hit the next button though.
I'm afraid now. I've scared myself. Because I don't want to walk away from this, man.
Boy. Well, here we go.
Oh, God.
I'll let you read it for yourself.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
We have a tie.
I think we just need to leave it at that for the sake of me being a co-host on the show. Because if we do a recount, I could be gone.
Will.
It's all my fault.
Well, in the words of the famous Highlander Kurgan, there can be only one. So, I really hope this works. I have recorded a tiebreaker. There is no Metal Gear sound effect for this, although it would have been appropriate. So, you're going to see a wheel start spinning in a second, and hopefully this works. So, here we go.
Oh, boy. Oh, my God, what am I looking at? Okay. Too many things. There's too many things on the screen. It's like The Witcher. I can't play this game.
Oh, God. Oh, man. So Metal Gear took the win.
Oh, thank God.
Thank God.
My breathing is stabilized.
So I used a random wheel spinner to do a like a roulette wheel, and yeah, Metal Gear Solid moves on. So
Right, it does.
Our final matchup for the South to determine the Southern Conference Championship is going to be Doom versus Metal Gear Solid. I think
I'm afraid.
I think this is where the line is drawn, my friend, because now it's war. Now it's war. Do you realize that our number one seeds are going head to head right now?
One, Dave, you can leave, and two, I feel like Dave could actually cosplay as the original Highlander, especially like old Dave, like when he had the long hair and everything.
Oh man, Connor McLeod. Oh goodness.
Back in Dave's like Obi-Wan cosplay days. You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So next week you're gonna lose, buddy. I just want to remind you of that. All right, let's move on to the next bracket.
Takes a sip of water.
I feel the tension in the air over here. It's making me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, a little pink.
A little pink.
I might be getting pink under this cool lamp.
Oh, goodness. All right, Eastern Conference. We got The Legend of Zelda taking on Resident Evil, Mario Kart taking on Super Smash Brothers. So let's start out with Zelda versus Resident Evil. Who you got for this one?
Zelda.
Yeah, I mean, this one, I think even though I'm not a fan of either game, I personally voted for Zelda. I know that's probably going to get some pushback from the chat, but let's take a look and see who won. Yeah. Zelda took it 73% to Resident Evil's 26.1, so almost 74% for Zelda. I'm so sorry, Epic Outro. I feel bad for you, man. But yeah.
Well, what's kind of interesting about this is Resident Evil, I would argue, is probably more alive than Zelda in terms of like the amount of releases that they're getting and the amount of attention that's on it. Zelda, I mean, I think the last game was Breath of the Wild, right?
Yep, but they did announce Breath of the Wild 2.
Oh, they did?
Yep, they announced it last year. So that is coming. There's just, as far as I'm aware, there's no date yet for that. But that is on the way. So
I was going to say that they're also doing a remaster of Skyward Sword.
Yes, that's true. I completely forgot about that. So we have accusations of voter fraud in the chat. I would like to say that those accusations are unsubstantiated. There is no proof. This is a completely legitimate voting process. So
well said.
There we go.
Out with him. Stone him.
All right, moving on to the next bracket. Mario Kart takes on Super Smash Brothers. Any thoughts on this one?
This is tough. I'm going to say that it's going to go to Smash, but I would prefer it to go to Mario Kart.
Well, let's take a look and see who the winner is on this one.
In the name of sun-made raisins.
In the name of sun-made raisins, the winner is Mario Kart, 55% to 45%. BGIBIX is saying that he saw the ballots in the river. That is not true, sir.
Bear spray? Please explain, Dave.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, Mario Kart is going to be moving on. I'm kind of surprised with this one, too. We're talking about franchises that haven't seen a new release in a while. Mario Kart got the same damn game on the Switch that it had on the Wii U. At least Super Smash Brothers got a new game when it came over to the Switch. So
that's how powerful it is, man. They knew Nintendo was just like, fuck it, just give them 8 on the Switch. We're good. And they were good.
Yep. And as Killer Sirach notes, both games are destroyers of relationships. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. I would say Mario Party potentially more.
Oh, God.
I mean, legitimately, I almost had to divorce Lauren. I almost had to, man.
I believe it. I've gotten into some pretty heated battles with some friends playing that game. And when I say battles, I mean like fist fights. So
Jesus.
Yeah. Saikoro is mentioning Vic and the Stars. Yeah, absolutely. He's a dirty player. He plays that game dirty. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, Vic is kind of dirty with a lot of games. Street Fighter being one of them.
I agree.
I mean, it's fair, but he just plays dirty. You know, that's the difference.
Actually, Saikoro, I would say that you're the one that plays dirty in Soul Calibur. Just throwing that out there, buddy. All right, moving along. Let's see what's next here in the Eastern Conference. We're going to have Legend of Zelda versus Mario Kart for the championships.
Man.
I knew it would come down to Nintendo somewhere. How do you feeling about this?
I don't know, man. I didn't see this coming.
I'm surprised it ended up being Mario Kart, honestly, but I'm not surprised that we're having Nintendo against Nintendo.
Yes. I mean, that's where I still am surprised, but it's, I don't know, man. I'm kind of speechless about it. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of stunned.
Right. I mean, it's just kind of crazy. Like, looking at Zelda, it's just dominated every game it's had. 100 to 0 in the first round, 87 to 13 on the second round, and then 74 to 26 in this round. Just absolute destruction. So, Link is just destroying everything in his path. Well,
yeah. It's hard to comment because I'm so out of the Nintendo loop. I kind of checked out of Nintendo, especially Zelda, more specifically after 64. So, it's hard for me to be like, I can justify Wind Waker, I can justify Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. It's just hard for me because I just haven't played much of any of those games.
Yeah, I haven't either, for what it's worth. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Going down to the west, we have Sonic the Hedgehog versus Metroid, Street Fighter versus Castlevania. First up, it's going to be Sonic versus Metroid. Any thoughts?
I mean, I think last time I said Metroid when there was a similar matchup. I can't remember. But Sonic, I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, it won against The Last of Us, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. 52-48. So it was
Which
close.
Is just unreal, by the way. I still can't get over that bracket loss. I'm gonna go Sonic.
All right, let's take a look. Metroid barely taking the win here, 53-47%. I think that's.
I don't know why I say good, really, because I'm not really a fan of either franchise.
I love Metroid, and I thoroughly enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog, but I think for me, the Metroid games are just way too good. Even the Game Boy Advance ones are just tremendous, and there's only a couple of them, but Metroid, I think, deserves a spot in the Final Four. I don't know if it's strong enough to carry it all the way to the championship, but I think Metroid is going to go pretty far here. And Sonic is a great game. I love what they've done with the franchise recently with Sonic Mania. I mean, they just knocked it out of the park with that game. Sonic 1, 2, and 3 are just absolute classics. Sonic CD, an absolute classic. And even the Dreamcast games, although I wasn't personally too fond of them, there's a lot of people that love those games and what they did. And, I just don't think it matches up to Metroid. I think the voters agree.
I was curious about that Metroid that came out for GameCube, the one that you said you didn't really like.
Metroid Prime.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people like the Prime games. I think it was just a case of the wrong game at the wrong time for me. I'd love to go back and revisit it, but I had a hard time with the controls and just kind of getting used to the way the first person layout was mapped to the GameCube controller. But I've by no means dismissed the game from my history. It's just not something I focused on in a long time.
Fair enough.
Let's take a look at the next round here. Street Fighter versus Castlevania.
Oh man, this has got to go to Street Fighter. If it goes to Castlevania, I'll be a little bit butthurt.
Yeah, me too. Let's take a look and see what we got. I'll let you read those results.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Break out the wheel.
We have another.
Break out the goddamn wheel.
We have another tie here. Street Fighter, Castlevania, 22 votes, 50% each. So let's go to the tiebreaker wheel. Here we go.
Those colors are terrible.
Yeah, the options.
So fucking terrible.
The options were not great.
Oh. And there's confetti?
And there's confetti.
How dare you?
So Castlevania picking up the win on the roulette wheel on this one. I love Castlevania, but I firmly disagree with these results. I just want to state that for the record. I don't feel that Castlevania is strong enough to beat Street Fighter, but we had a tie. This is the only way to determine a winner, and I wanted to keep it fair. So I put my personal feelings aside, and I let the wheel decide the fate.
I am trying, man, to keep those personal feelings aside and at bay.
me too, bro. Me too.
I'm trying. Damn, that hurts.
Yes, it does. I apologize. So we're looking at Metroid versus Castlevania to determine the championship for the West. This is sort of fitting and poetic in a way, now that I think about it, because you have the Metroidvania franchise going head to head right there. Mm-hmm. And it really doesn't get more poetic than that.
It doesn't. That's actually a really good point.
I wish I had thought of that before we started recording so that I could, you know, fucking fudge the numbers.
Oh God.
Anyway, so
that's hysterical.
taking a look at the Elite Eight as we have it, we have Halo versus Pokemon, Doom versus Metal Gear Solid, The Legend of Zelda versus Mario Kart, and Metroid versus Castlevania. We have a lot of people shouting fraud in the Twitch chat. I'm not entirely sure he's wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Dave. If it makes you feel any better, there's another remaster coming up for RE4. Don't worry, and it's coming out for all platforms.
Goodness. Killer Sirach is selling his votes. So, the winners of each of these games are going to be the champions for their region, and they will square off against each other to determine the finals. So we are entering the semifinals of our tournament, and let's bring up the full bracket so everybody can kind of see where things are for the final results of week 3. Any final comments before we move on from the March Madness?
Yes, if Metal Gear Solid makes it as the WDGR champion, I'm buying that art book that I can't afford. I'm putting on a credit card, god damn it. No, I'll probably buy it.
Yeah, I was
Just buy it.
gonna say you're gonna buy it anyway. Like, see,
I'm probably gonna buy it anyway.
because you could go about it 2 different ways, my friend. You could be like, okay, I'm gonna buy this book to celebrate Metal Gear Solid's victory, or I'm gonna buy this book because I'm pissed and disappointed and depressed that it didn't win. So I'm buying this book as like a fuck you to the votes.
See, I would do that, and I would actually somehow find a way to justify that to Lauren.
Yeah.
Because I could already hear it now. Like, hey, honey, what's that $162 charge from eBay? Whoops. Hey, you know what? Honey, let me look into this. I think somebody hacked my account. What's this package over here? I already opened it. It's a Metal Gear Solid 4 art book. Is this what you ordered? No, I had that on pre-order forever ago.
That didn't cost $164.92.
Wow, that was a $39 item.
Yeah.
Huh. I thought you said that was your favorite game, and I thought you said that like when I met you.
And don't you have a tattoo?
Yeah, but they took forever to release that book, and they fucked up with my copy, and leave me alone. Yes, it was $162.
Oh, goodness.
Back off.
Epic Outro is suggesting that if you lose, Will has to broadcast an episode from inside a cardboard box.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
I probably would do that.
That would be an absolute nightmare from an editing point of view, however.
Yes, yeah.
The sound would just be complete garbage.
I just send it to you, and I'm like, listen, Drew, good luck, buddy. I gotta get going. I gotta get going.
You got a lot of love in this chat, man. People are throwing their support to you. Killer Sirach is going to tell your wife that he stole your credit card. So,
oh gosh, oh yeah, I need your address too. I gotta send him the Naughty Dog stickers that I don't want.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about those.
That are in pristine condition.
Pristine stickers for a $164 book.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. So, folks, once again, be sure to swing on by our Twitter page at WDGR Podcast and vote on the next round of March Madness. We are in the Elite 8 at this point, so these votes do make a difference. They do matter to us and probably nobody else, but it's a lot of fun. We have a ton of fun doing this each week, and it's been fascinating to kind of see where the votes are falling. So keep an eye out for those after the show. And yeah, everybody that's voted so far, thank you for participating. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I'll tell you something funny too, Drew.
Yeah.
I think this will make you a proud father of mine. We are watching a documentary right now. It's a docuseries on Netflix called Last Chance U, basketball. And
Okay.
It's outstanding. And I don't do sports, as you know. I don't do brackets. I don't do tournaments. But this docuseries is covering basketball. So I heard the words seed and bracket, and I was like, I know what those are now.
Nice.
due to the show. So yeah, that was just my little I want to share and tell to my podcast dad, and hopefully you're proud of me, man.
I am extremely proud of you.
I know what a seed is. Damn it.
I am so proud of you, man. It's got to be like liberating knowing that you can like talk about sports a little bit now. You know?
Yeah, I kind of even did one of these too. I was like, huh, I know what that is.
Did you see that ludicrous display last night?
Yeah. Yeah, can you believe that?
Those fucking guys, when he threw the ball and he missed, oh man, just I can't. What was he even thinking, Will? What was he thinking?
Yeah.
Do you know what he was
The
saying?
worst part is he was in the paint too, man.
Wow, he was in the paint. Anyway.
He threw the ball and he missed. What play were you talking about? Oh, it was play 7. Yeah, play 7, game 7.
Play 7.
Yeah, game 7 didn't even happen yet, buddy.
Oh God.
The season just started.
Well, I am a proud podcast dad, so nice work, man. So I have some good news to bring up on the show. I've been kind of struggling to figure out what my next game was going to be. Mm-hmm. And through a little help of the listeners, we settled on God of War for the PlayStation 4.
Godspeed to you, sir.
Yeah, so I fired it up for the first time yesterday, and I haven't put too much time into it. I've been juggling a few things, but so far I'm enjoying it. It's not what I expected, but it's also everything I expected at the same time. Does that make sense?
You might have to define that, my friend.
So there are times when I'm getting into the thick of a battle where, like, I feel like I'm just aimlessly hammering the attack buttons. And I realize that I don't have a lot of moves yet. My character, is kind of limited to what he's able to do. Mm-hmm. But I felt like, especially when I was kind of surrounded by a bunch of lower tier enemies, that I was just kind of hitting like light attack, heavy. It's turning around, hitting the next one, light, heavy. Moving to the next one, light, heavy. And it just kind of made me feel like a lot of other types of games in that genre, like Devil May Cry, or I'm trying to think of other like hack and slash games.
Oh man, there's plenty.
There's so many, and it's not a genre that I really spend a lot of time with because it just has never really hooked me in the way that other genres do. So I didn't want to dismiss it immediately because it's such a beloved game, and you can't really judge a game by like, an hour or two of gameplay, right? That's just not necessarily fair, I don't think.
Agreed.
So I've been sticking with it, and I've gotten pretty far. I really don't know what I can discuss on the air without like revealing spoilers, but I guess I don't know how can we do this? I've had a couple boss battles, so I'm probably like maybe somewhere between 5 and 8 hours into the game at this point. I'm going to hand this off to you. Ask me questions.
Yes, I've got you, man.
Right.
So here's the thing. Your initial assessment is 100% accurate. What you're experiencing is what I experienced. It's probably what most people experienced. It is a little bit button mashy at first because I agree with Banks G35 here. It takes time. In the beginning, you just have your axe. You have very limited moves. But it's true. As you progress through the game, you unlock way more moves. And you can do more things with the axe besides just, button mash and recall it. And you eventually get, some other weapons as well, which I don't really want to talk about. But yeah, I think that you're just too early on, and I think your assessment is accurate, and I think that you know that already, that you said yourself that you're too early in to really make a fair judgment on what the rest of this game is going to look like. Mm-hmm. So I would say, or I would encourage you to keep going.
Okay.
Play for, I would say like about a good solid like 5 hours, and then things are going to really start shaping up.
So I think I'm probably past that point already.
Wow.
I've already upgraded my axe once. I've already started branching out with like experience, and I've started kind of building. Is it Atreus? Does he say it that way?
Yes.
Yeah. So he's been getting some health as well, or some XP boost, I should say. Been putting some of my XP into him. I just encountered. I don't know if I should say this on the air. Like that's the part I'm like dancing around whether or not it's a spoiler, because I don't know if it's a spoiler.
Okay. I mean, to kind of interject there, I could also build onto my original point and say that eventually you're going to get like a combat flow that's going to feel really nice and way more intricate than it does now.
Okay.
And that's going to feel really, really satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get good at what you're doing. And technically, you could probably play the whole game with just using the axe and just using very limited moves.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to want to use the other stuff. And some of the other stuff you almost have to use with certain enemies.
Okay.
And that's going to really expand the sort of variety of combat. So I hope that encourages you to kind of keep going.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sticking with it. I actually got to a section where I'm on a boat, and that I wasn't really crazy about, because I actually started getting motion sick, which is really bizarre. You're using this boat through these caverns, and eventually you go out to the open water, and there's a thing that happens and it leads to the next thing. And, I hate being vague, but I stopped just before I got off the boat. Is where I'm at right now. So hopefully that gives you some context, and hopefully it gives the listener some context if they're familiar with the game.
I think so. And I think the boat is a little floaty, no pun intended. Like it's not exactly, doesn't feel that rigid. Like when you're in it, you feel like the controls are kind of loose.
Well,
I'm sure you could probably understand what I'm saying there.
Yeah, I get the impression that they're trying to illustrate that Kratos has this massive, immense strength, so that with each swipe of the oar, he's like rocketing through the water like it's like next to nothing. So that's sort of the vibe that I think they're trying to go for, but the movement just feels so unnatural to me, and because I'm turning so quickly, I'm finding that it's just hard for me to kind of focus in on a section, and it does really give me like a headache. I was just kind of getting queasy with it, and it was uncomfortable. So, and I'm not playing on a particularly large TV either. I'm using a 46-inch 1080p TV. There's no HDR. It's not on my 4K or anything. I'm on a base PlayStation. So I would think that the graphics would probably be less prone to giving me that effect, but I guess I'm wrong. I'm not really sure.
Well, speak about visuals. What are your thoughts on the graphics so far?
I mean, so far the game is pretty stunning. I wish that the PlayStation was in the other room, because this television doesn't take advantage of the HDR on the PlayStation, and I know I'm missing out. Even though the PS4, the base model, isn't a 4K device, it does take advantage of HDR on HDR TVs, and in a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, that made a huge difference in the quality of the picture. So I know I'm missing out with God of War in those terms, but all that said, it still is a gorgeous game. Everything is vibrant and feels alive. Even the stuff that's dead feels alive. I think there's nice work with lights and shadows. I found the snowy areas to just be pretty impressive. You're surrounded by all this just snowfall, and everything is really beautiful. But then I fought this one creature that spews fire, and the fire effects were jaw-dropping. Just absolutely beautiful to look at. But of course, you're not spending too much time looking at it, because you're trying to dodge and weave in between these attacks. And speaking of that too, the strategies with Atreus are pretty interesting. I wasn't expecting to have so much out of him in combat. I was more fearful that he would become like, you know how in a lot of games you have that NPC that you have to lead from one place to another, you
And
know?
they get stuck and shit behind a tree.
Yeah, they get stuck or they get attacked or they just die or whatever, and it's just stupid and annoying. I haven't really encountered that with him. There was one case where an enemy pinned him down, and I like ran over to them and broke that fight up as quickly as possible. And then, of course, there's a storyline event that happens as well too. That's, you know, even worse. And but I feel like, you know, even though Kratos spends a significant amount of time kind of berating the kid for not being ready, he's doing a pretty damn good job holding his own. So,
Oh yeah.
I don't know what the hell Kratos' problem is. He's got like the worst dad of the year syndrome over here, man.
Yeah, he's pretty rough. He doesn't know how to be a father,
No.
and that's certainly part of the story as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's parts where they'll show Atreus looking out at either something he's trying to hunt or an event that just happened, and the kid will kind of like show hesitation, remorse. Maybe he'll be emotional, and you'll see Kratos like reach for him, like he wants to put his hand on his shoulder or on his back and give him that reassuring, like, "Hey, man, I'm here," and he like stops himself and then pulls away, and it's like, you motherfucker, just hug the kid. You know? And I'm sure they're building up to something with that. I don't know if they're building up to him actually hugging Atreus or maybe something else where Atreus loses his shit. I'm really curious to see where that goes. Because I know nothing about the storyline. I've kept myself relatively shielded from spoilers from this, and even with your
Good.
review, I know you were very careful about that, and I appreciate that. But my brain is like, I forget shit when it comes to that. If it's not something that I want to retain, I don't retain it, and I've done as much as possible to just kind of let any information about that game just go in one ear and out the other.
Good.
So everybody in the chat room is saying boy, so I feel like we owe them a boy.
Yes. Yeah, it is. You're going to hear that quite a bit. And,
Oh, yeah.
Most people, when they hear God of War, they just immediately say that because it's just a significant line that's used in the game so much. And it's done so well. You know, it's so deep. And I want to say that the dude that plays Kratos, that does the mocap and the voice acting, wasn't he in Stargate SG-1?
Yeah, Christopher Judge. I mean, he's a good actor.
Yeah, and I saw him, I think it was on Netflix. We were scrolling for something the other night, and I was like, hang on a second, I'm pretty sure that's Chris Judge.
Yeah. I mean, he's done quite a bit. I was kind of curious to see how he would work out for Kratos, you know, and I think he's given a pretty good performance. It's subtle when it needs to be and powerful when it needs to be, and I think he's kind of hitting all those right notes, you know.
Yeah, I feel like I wish I had more to kind of say and more to say to kind of encourage you to keep going, but I don't think I need to. I think
No.
that you're too early in. Your initial thoughts are relevant and understandable, but I agree with some members in the chat here, and then also my own intuition. You just need to keep playing it, and the best way to play God of War is to hunker down, phone in the other room, like that kind of style. You're just gonna need to sit there, play it, and just press on, and eventually it's just you're gonna hit this spark, and when that spark's kind of creates a fire, you're going to be with that fire for a long time.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I mean, I feel like I'm compelled to continue forward. You know, I don't feel like I'm going to write the game off. We had some discussion about the game in our Discord room when the voting was going on, and there was one of the members kind of had a negative reaction to the game when he tried playing it for the first time, and I think it was just a matter of him not finding enough rewarding in a short enough span. Perhaps he can elaborate on it later, you know, once he's heard this episode. But, you know, for the amount of critical acclaim that this game has received from not just industry professionals, but also our friends, I think it would be a disservice for me to not see this through and then form my own opinion.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. And even for me, it took some time for the game to really click with me and for me to feel more compelled to keep going. Because in the beginning, initially, I was like, like, all right, he's got a cool axe and like the graphics look good, but you know, but why? You know, like why am I going to play this? And I just stuck with it, and I trusted Zach, and I'm glad I did. And a lot of it was trust, putting trust in somebody else's review, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have ever touched it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just so many people were recommending it. So many people were speaking highly of it. And, you know, I dodged the previous entries, but, you know, I had to buy this when it was on sale, and I'm glad I did. I'm just disappointed it's taking me so long to get to it. But here we are. I do have questions. I don't know if you can answer these or if you should, but there's not a lot that's discussed about Kratos's previous. I don't know if they were married, but the kid's mother.
I'm glad you brought this up, Drew. I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay.
Because I had the same problem.
Okay.
I felt like I was paying attention to the story in the beginning, and I remember very distinctively having to reach out to Zach, like, you know, that typical guy that's like, "Hey man, can you like explain to me what's going on? Because I'm like dumb and I don't get it." And it's because the story is told in such a simple, vague way that you have to really pay attention to everything that's being said. And normally you have to do that in games where there's a lot going on. But in God of War, because it is so vague and it's told through conversation between Atreus and Kratos rather, you have to really, really listen to what they're saying and retain it. Because if you don't, you're going to be like, well, hang on a second. Why are we going up this mountain again? And do I have her ashes? I can't remember now. And like those kind of questions come up in the beginning. At least they did for me. And it sounds like you're having a similar issue. And eventually you're going to be like, okay, now I get it. Well, but it is a little bit vague.
I think I'm able to follow the conversation so far and so much that they've revealed in the story. So I understand that, you know, they're fulfilling a last wish and bringing those ashes up to the mountain. I think what I'm trying to figure out is if Atreus' mother has been established in a previous game or if she is unique to this entry. Because I feel like they're just kind of throwing you into a story that, you know, as a newcomer to the franchise, I know nothing about.
I'm with you there. And I can't answer that actually because I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if she was established, you know, previously in a different title in the series, or if she was mentioned at some point in this game. My memory's a little bit foggy there, but all I can tell you is that I remember having some questions about the story in the beginning, and I had to do some external research on YouTube just to make sure I was following along. And it was one of those moments where I watched and I was like, okay, they didn't say this, so I am good. It's not me not listening. And I had a couple moments like that, but
okay.
Yeah, I would. That's all I can say is just, you know, listen as best as you can, try to pay attention, and hopefully you won't miss any story beats there. But that particular question, I wish I had a better answer, but I don't.
Yeah, fair enough. We got a couple comments in the Twitch chat. Saikoro says, Kratos ran out of whey protein powder and roids. The quote-unquote journey happens to be on the way. that is wonderful.
Yeah.
BGIBIX clarifies and says, I don't think she was mentioned in the previous games. I even played the PSP God of War. So I would say, Dwayne, you are as close to an expert as possible on the franchise, it sounds like, at least in this chat right now.
I would also agree, absolutely pay attention to the boat stories, because not only are they really good, but they're going to give you a lot of insight on some story beats for sure.
Okay. Yeah. The dialogue between the two of them definitely doesn't feel like it's just filler. Like there's some good stuff, especially when Atreus is you know, talking about some of the runes that he read, or, you know, something that he's transcribing for Kratos. And I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying their back and forth, even if you know, Atreus looks like he's been like abused since he was a little child. So
oh man.
What else, man? You want to we got a couple lingering questions in the mailbag. Should we hit those?
Yeah, let's hit them up.
All right. You want to take it away, Will?
Yeah, of course. Let me just pull it up here.
Okay.
All right, so we have Patrick from the Retrospective podcast, which you were just on, by the way.
I
So
was.
folks, check that out.
Yeah.
Patrick says, I've been playing The Messenger, and he's targeting you here, close to finishing it. I like it a lot. You mentioned you played it. Can you give us your thoughts / mini review on it?
Yeah. So I never got a chance to finish The Messenger. I really didn't get too far into it. What I played of it, I did enjoy. It's kind of a old school Ninja Gaiden like game with a massive sense of humor and some sort of a plot twist that changes the fabric of the game at some point. I never got to the plot twist. I have an idea of what happens, but I have not played it that far enough to confirm. The biggest issue that I was having with the game, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was playing it on the Switch using the Joy-Cons. And as I've come to realize, the Joy-Cons suck. They're they're terrible. I'm sorry. They're just really bad controllers. I need to play that.
I think we touched on this at one point.
Yeah, it took the Mario 64 remaster for me to come to terms with it and realize that it wasn't just me, that the controller was actually a problem. And it makes sense that it would be an issue for a game that's trying to, get its inspiration from Ninja Gaiden, because Ninja Gaiden is notoriously difficult.
Yes.
So I need to either pony up the $25 to buy a Bluetooth adapter so I can use my Xbox controller with the Switch, or I need to buy a Pro controller. And there's been some pretty good deals on the Pro controller in the past where you could buy a copy of, I think it was Super Mario Odyssey plus a controller for like $80, which is a steal.
Okay.
If you're interested in having both, like that's a really good price. But those were happening around like the holidays and stuff, and I just haven't had the cash. It's just been one thing after another, and my money's just been needed elsewhere.
Of course.
So, Killer Sirach says we should set up a GoFundMe, and
Just for the Pro controller.
just for the Pro controller. So yeah, that's kind of where I sit. The game is currently available on Game Pass last I checked, so I do have access to it on the Xbox. I've just been playing other things, and considering that I own it on the Switch, I feel a little less pressured to play it on Game Pass before it's removed. So it's just kind of, I'll get back to it when I get back to it, but it may take some time.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, I remember when the Pro controller was $100 when it first came out,
Yeah.
and then they dropped it.
Yeah, one of the guys from work was recommending the 8-bit Do Bluetooth adapter. Brian, shout out to him. It's like $25 on Amazon. It's fairly,
It's not terrible.
fairly inexpensive. He's had good experience with it, whether it's using a PlayStation 4 controller or an Xbox controller. With the Xbox controllers, it does need to be one of the newer models, so anything after the Xbox One X revision, I believe it was, that's when they added Bluetooth in. So I certainly have a couple of those around the house. I just don't want to go through the hassle of binding it and unbinding it every time I actually want to use it on the Xbox. I think that's kind of
It's
where
the
I'm at.
worst thing about Bluetooth.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a headache, So I think for me, the best solution is to either buy a Pro controller or pick up an 8-bit Do controller and use that exclusively for the Switch.
Okay. You got a couple options.
Yeah, we'll see. But I don't see myself making that purchase anytime soon, especially now that I started God of War. And it's just, I'll get to it when I get to it.
Timing's not right.
Timing's not right. Yep.
Puxor. He asks, what is your take on the datification of gaming? This is an interesting one.
Yeah, I think the timing is kind of funny on this one because we weren't originally planning on doing a mailbag and we just didn't have a lot to talk about today. So these questions have been sitting in there for a while. And now that I just started God of War, I think it's a little bit more appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember exactly what he meant by the datification of gaming.
Well, I'm scratching my head and I'm thinking, well, first of all, we ain't dads yet. A. And B, you're a dad, Pucks. And I commend you for that because being a father seems like quite a challenging life.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can squeeze in gaming and also, take care of your child is pretty impressive. But yeah, it's hard to define this question. I mean, I feel like I can't really answer it that well because I'm not a dad. But I feel like if I was, I'd probably be in your shoes. Struggling to find time to sit down and sink my teeth into a 40-hour game.
I'm trying to find, because I asked him to elaborate, and he didn't elaborate where I asked him to elaborate. He elaborated somewhere else. So let me see if I can find it real quick in the chat. Let's see.
I feel like
here.
Googling datification.
Yeah. So I mean, the gist of it that I understand is just kind of like, how do you feel about there like being just like this, parenting kind of theme in video games?
Okay.
So, let's see here. I think I'm kind of in the area of it. This is great podcasting, folks. Will.
Yeah.
Talk.
I'm actually thinking, I'm thinking that if that's the case, and that's what this question is, truly, I still feel like I can't really answer it because the only game that I can recall is God of War. And I don't know if there's much I can elaborate on there. I mean, it was cool to see this dynamic between a father and a son in that kind of setting. And he was learning how to be a father, and he's learning how to be essentially a warrior or a fighter and learning how to fight. I think that was cool, but again, it's hard for me to relate because I'm just not a father.
So I found his elaboration. He says the complaint is that games are more and more representing the kind of fatherhood or father-like relationships at the expense of many other stories. My response to that was, quote, "That's a stupid complaint."
That's kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there is. Epic Outro points out The Last of Us being a good example as well too. I don't see that being an issue because it's not happening at such a high frequency that I think it's going to be taking away from other tales.
That's just it.
It's happening more than it used to, but I think it's happening more frequently because the people that are developing these games are maturing.
And their dads.
Yeah.
And they're probably realizing too, based on statistics of who's playing games, that we're finding that more and more fathers are gaming. Way more than when you and I were kids. Our dads didn't play games, and now people are dads at the age of 30. And when you're 30, you're likely still playing video games if you were playing them at the age of 18.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a incredibly good point. The gaming culture isn't what it was 20 years ago. No,
it's not.
People like when we were kids, people that played video games at our age, people didn't play video games at our age. They stopped. They grew up and got jobs and got married and had kids and whatever. And then our generation came along and we're like, fuck that. We like doing this stuff. We're not going to stop. Yes, we can be fathers and daughters and mothers and all these different things and still keep playing video games. Like, there's nothing that says you have to stop your hobbies as an adult just because you decide to have a family. So
absolutely. And back in the day, you did have that mindset, or at least when I was younger, I was like, man, when I get to 30, that's it for me. I'm not going to be gaming. I'm going to have a mortgage. I'm going to be married. And it's so far from the truth. I'm almost 36 and yeah, sure. I'm married and, have a mortgage and all that kind of stuff, but I still game. I game less, but I definitely still game. And my perspective on it is not what I thought it was going to be when I was, 14, 15, and I was having those kind of thoughts.
Yeah.
I realize that being a grown-up is really just you being the same person, just older.
Pretty much, man. Like, I don't know about you. I mean, we've talked about this to some degree in the past, but I definitely feel like I am way younger than other 37-year-olds. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
isn't it crazy, like, when you meet somebody that's 36 and they're, like, Elon Musk status, and you're like, shit, dude, like, I still got to buy potatoes this afternoon. And you're planning like business meetings to like close deals on like going to space and shit.
Yeah.
And like you're like 2 years older than me, or you meet somebody that's younger than you and they're more accomplished than you are, and you're like, damn, dude, I thought I had my shit together.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's you said it well. All right. What else we got?
Scooby Diesel says, are people who don't enjoy sushi really people? Should we trust them? Seems fishy to me. I have a story for this one, sir. I have a good story.
Carry on.
So typically I don't eat sushi. Typically I was never really eating it because I'm a vegetarian, and I'm a vegetarian that doesn't eat fish. So I thought for most of my life that I couldn't really eat it. Until many years ago, I realized that there are vegetarian options. There are avocado rolls. There are like peanut avocado rolls. There are all these different kinds of sushi rolls.
Sweet potato.
Yeah, sweet potato. And this is where my story will continue.
Oh, sorry.
And no worries. You just brought up a very prominent point in this story, which you were going to learn about shortly.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, just many years ago, I went to Whole Foods, where I was going all the time and wasting a lot of money on really good sushi. And I would say, I think it was like a couple years ago, I went to this sushi spot that was next door to the Joseph A. Bank that I was working at in Longmeadow, Massachusetts. And it was called, I can't remember the name, I think it was Umi or something like that. And I went there and I ordered the sweet potato roll. And then the other one was I think like a peanut and avocado roll. And it was like I don't know, there was like 9 or 10 of them or whatever. Go back to work. I'm on my lunch break, pound the sushi because I was starving. And later on that evening before we closed up, I was like, man, I don't feel so great. And my stomach was kind of bloated. I went home, and before I got home, I stopped at our local CVS to pick up some Pepto-Bismol because I was like, shit, man, I think I'm in trouble.
Oh, boy.
And I took the Pepto-Bismol. I got home. I was telling Lauren about my trip to Vegas because it was shortly after I got back from there for a business trip. And I was like, fuck, man, like, do I have like food poisoning from Vegas, or do I have food poisoning from the sushi? So to this day, we don't really know, but I'm pretty sure it was from the sushi, and it might have even been from the salad that I ordered with it.
Oof.
And I think it was a bacteria issue. Needless to say, I remember I told Lauren, I was like, you know what? I'm really cold. I'm going to get into bed. And I got into bed, and I'm literally like teeth chattering cold.
Oh, no.
Whole body was shaking. I was like, something's not right at all. And after being in bed for probably like 5 minutes, I got up frantically, ran upstairs to go to the bathroom. And not to be graphic here, but I was vomiting like Exorcist style. And no head spinning, but it was like purging. And I was like, oh my God, like something's not right at all. I have to have food poisoning. And all I could think of was that sweet potato roll. And I was like, it's got to be that. And it's because it was all I could just like think about and taste. And I was like, that's got to be the thing that did it. And dude, I was sick. I don't think we were even doing the podcast at the time. And I was sick for like days. I would say it was like 3-4 days I had to be out of work. And I was the store manager at the time, so it was kind of a big deal. And they had to bring somebody else in to go run the store because I was literally in bed for 4 days, like insanely ill, dude. Like Lauren to this day thinks that I should have gone to the hospital, and I didn't. I was white as a sheet, vomiting constantly, and all I could eat was popsicles and like Gatorade and just tiny sips, because anything more than that, I would just get triggered. So that is my awful, hellish story with sushi. I think sushi is wonderful. Don't take my story as a way to not eat it. I just had some bad luck. It could have happened with French fries. So,
have you had sushi since?
No. And to be honest with you, man, I probably won't.
Yeah.
Because I'm scarred. I know that sounds like really immature
it
potentially
doesn't.
to some people, but
No.
I can't, dude. I can't go back because I don't want to take that chance. And again, some would argue, hey, man, like that could happen to anything, and you're 100% right. But that incident was so hellish that I just can't take the chance. But I love sushi, man. I love it. And to answer your question without telling that story, I think that people who don't enjoy sushi are definitely still people, but I think that they should definitely try that. And I think that we can trust them.
I think Scooby was going for the puns with the seems fishy to me part, but outside of that, yeah, man, sushi's great. I don't like all of it. Like there's certain types that I'm not really crazy for. I don't really care for like spicy tuna because I don't like the texture of the mashed fish.
Okay.
So like
That's the episode title. Mashed fish.
Oh, you better write that down.
Basically cat food.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it really is. Like they make like the spicy mayonnaise for some of the sushi, and they like mash it in, and
I just thought about you at a sushi place being like, yeah, can I get the fancy feast roll? And let me get the fancy feast roll and the deli cat salad, please.
Deli cats. What the fuck,
Is that
man?
the chicken Florentine fancy feast roll? Yeah. Oh, you're sold out of that one? No problem. I'll go with the Primavera.
Do you have anything with meaty bits in it?
Yeah, I'm looking for like morsels.
Oh,
Morsels of mashed fish. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, I'm done. I'm done. Continue.
But like I'm a big fan of like the rainbow rolls. I'm a big fan of eel. Eel is where it's at.
Okay.
I like the like there's one place not too far from me that we used to go to when we lived in Seymour, and they make something called a Philadelphia roll, and it's like I want to say it was like crab meat with like cream cheese and seaweed and avocado or something like that, and it sounds kind of weird, but man, it's like this kind of like sweet and savory at the same time, and it's just with the soy sauce and the wasabi on it. You mix all that together. You just dunk it in. Eel, like I said before, Dave is like eels yo. The eel is one of my favorites, and like people that are unwilling to try it because they're afraid of the texture don't know what they're missing, because it's like eating like a piece of chicken teriyaki. I don't like to use the phrase "it tastes like chicken," but it's kind of the same kind of texture and flavor. I'm not gonna lie, and man, I could like just pound sushi. Like, I mean, I'm a big dude. I can eat.
Well, it's so easy to eat too.
It is,
and you can kind of like justify it because you're like, it's like seaweed and rice and just a little bit of stuff in the middle.
Like those gigantic sushi boats. Like my wife and I will order sushi. It'll come out in one of those boats, and it'll be like 2 rolls for her and like 6 rolls for me, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Oh gosh, the worst is like when you get a comment like, "Oh, you must be hungry," and you're just like, "Yeah, just leave it at the table and walk away." Sir. Leave it at the table and walk away. Don't ever say that to me.
We don't do it often, but when we do it right.
Yeah, no, I can respect that, man. Can you use chopsticks?
I can,
Nice.
and I do.
Yeah, I can use them quite well as well. My dad taught me, and he was so good with them, man, that he could open up a matchbox, take a match out, and light it with the chopsticks. It was pretty impressive.
That is impressive. I don't think I could do that, but eating works. I can eat. I'm not going to do any chopsticks tricks.
Have you ever had a seaweed salad?
I don't like those. I was not a fan of that
Texture thing. It's like wet grass.
Yeah. I have an issue with a lot of the dressings that are used in the Asian salads, especially at like if you're getting like an Asian fusion salad that's got like, the crispy noodles and stuff in it, that's not too bad. But like when I go to a Japanese restaurant and they ask me if I want a salad, it's usually like a garden salad with your iceberg lettuce, your tomato, maybe some peppers, some cucumbers, whatever, right? The basics.
It's like water.
Yeah. And then the dressing that they put on it is like this like orangish or yellowish kind of like pasty consistency.
Yes.
And it has like all the
miso dressing, I want to say.
Maybe, and like
something like that.
I really like miso soup, but the dressings have just never done it for me.
It's kind of chalky. I know exactly what you mean. It's a very specific dressing. And they use it at hibachi restaurants. They use it
Yeah.
any kind of like Asian spot like that where you get like a little side salad. It's always the same fucking dressing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of good, but I'm like not sure if it is. Like it's kind of like one of those moments where you're like, oh, I love these salads, but then in your head you're like, do I? Do I, or am I just telling myself this because I'm excited to see noodles sizzling on a skillet in front of me
Oh
after
man.
the onion train goes by?
Yeah. We're
You gotta love people at hibachi, dude, because they'll be taking out iPads and shit to film it.
it's crazy. Like I remember like going to hibachi before people had cell phones. That was a good time.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went years ago when people just had like flip phones, and I don't think I saw anybody taking photos then.
No, well, I mean, how could you? You have like a 16 pixel by 18 pixel screen.
Yeah, it's like black and white shit.
Anyway.
Can you imagine like a black and white onion train? Like, what would that even look like? It probably look like an ultrasound, dude, of somebody's baby. Like, dude, is that an onion train or is that your child?
I'm gonna take an ultrasound of this onion, sir.
Can you do the egg thing again where you flip it up and catch it? And
Oh God.
oh god, you always feel like you're being treated like a child when they do that shit for you because they're basically like, oh, hey, stupid Americans, like check this shit out. But it's still kind of cool though.
It's I mean, it's fun.
Yeah,
because
it is fun.
we're stupid Americans. But
Yeah. Oh man,
any
Fun
other
stuff.
that's it for the mailbag, right?
it is it for the mailbag. Yes.
Cool. So we'll be able to clear that out and try to get another mailbag coming up for you guys soon.
You know what? Let's do a challenge.
Yeah.
We're going to give the audience exactly 30 seconds to come up with one more question. The first person to do it, we're going to address that question.
Yeah. So we'll kick it over to the Twitch chat. Ask us anything appropriate.
First person.
Ask us anything appropriate. AM it would be ask us. So AUAA instead of AMA. Right?
Oh man.
Um.
Come on, folks.
Well, I mean, it's going to take some time with the lag and everything. So in the meantime, do you have any games that are next on your radar to play?
Gravity Rush 2. I am not going to stray.
Nice. All right. Banks G35 asks, best Super Nintendo RPG. Any thoughts on this one?
Super Nintendo RPG.
It's a small list.
Yeah, it's out of my league a little bit because I didn't tamper with a lot of RPGs when I had that system. You know what? I need more time. Drew, go ahead.
I mean, I could probably count on one hand how many RPGs there were that either one of us would have played. Chrono Trigger is probably my easy favorite, although Final Fantasy VI, which was really Final Fantasy 3 on the Super Nintendo, is also a classic. But I think Chrono Trigger is going to be my pick hands down.
Okay.
So responses from the chat: Saikuro says Chrono Trigger, Epic Outro says FF6, Bank says Chrono Trigger. So a lot of Chrono Trigger fans in here.
Yeah, I mean, for the sake of hype, I would agree with that, but I've never played it. So my honest answer is nothing, just because I actually have not played a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo RPG.
Super Mario RPG is a lot of fun too, but it's overly simplistic. So it's a good way to like introduce somebody to the RPG as a genre, but it's not a very complex game, or at least not in my experience. Here's a fun fact though. All three of those games, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, and Super Mario RPG, I've started multiple times and I've never finished any of them. It's a typical Drew thing to say, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, that's probably why it's kind of like a lackluster response. I'm just like, yeah, it sounds like us.
Yeah, that's normal. So Banks is expanding the same question to the PlayStation 1.
Okay. I mean, it definitely gives me more options. I would say personally, either Final Fantasy Tactics or FF7, hands down.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7, I think, is my favorite, although I think it's harder to say best because ostensibly it's not the best RPG on the system, but it was my first, so it's my favorite. I think FF9 was a better game. Sakura says PS1 RPG Metal Gear Solid. I don't think it works that way, buddy.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, that's a beloved franchise for the two of us, but that's not going to work. That he's just pulling teeth there.
Yeah.
But FF9, I've heard. Damn it, FF9, I've heard really good things about, and the soundtrack is excellent.
Yeah, I mean, all the soundtracks on the Final Fantasy games are excellent. They don't put out bad music.
They don't.
Full stop.
They don't.
Doesn't matter which one it is. Maybe some are better than others, but they're all just excellent from top to bottom.
That is a very fair statement.
I think that brings us about to the end of the episode, though. What do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. So, excuse me, before we wrap things up, you mentioned earlier that I was on the Retrospectives podcast, and I do want to give those guys a shout out. We sat down and we talked about Streets of Rage 2 for almost 2 hours. It was a long discussion for a short game, and I did not expect to be talking about that game as long as we did, but we had a great time. Patrick and James were wonderful hosts. They didn't pick on me too much for having better opinions than them, and I joke. If anybody's ever listened to their show, arguing is encouraged, and you kind of have to fight for your opinions to stand up to them. Both those guys are very well spoken and very thoughtful in the things that they discuss. And we broke down Streets of Rage in way more detail than I think anybody ever has. So if you're a fan of the Genesis classic Streets of Rage 2, swing on over to their website, rspodcast.net. You can follow them on Twitter at RET Podcast, Retrospectives, kind of like us, but with a space in between. And I really had a great time with them. And plus, we also got to talk about how Patrick knows nothing about fighting games, so that was fun.
Those guys are a class act, man.
Yeah,
I can't wait to have them back on the show.
Me too. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with both of them. They're great dudes. Absolutely wonderful to chat with them about video games. We had them back around 55, 56, somewhere around there. It was in the 50s. It was a while ago, but they were awesome guests, and I'm very much looking forward to having them back on the show again in the future. Yeah,
that episode was fantastic, and I don't even think that we need to explain why. It just was.
Yep. So go back
because of them.
Go back and it wasn't us.
It wasn't us. We were just there.
Oh goodness, Will. If somebody wants to follow you on social media, how can they do so?
SoundCloud.com/Will_Gear, and also YouTube at Will_Gear. I'm trying to revamp that channel, so check it out.
Nice. I have to make a new lower third for you then.
Okay.
I don't have one. And you can follow me on Twitter at ScionStorm. Of course, find us on the web at www.WDGRPodcast.com, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WDGRPodcast. And swing on by our Discord room. There's a link for that in the show notes. If you're following us on Twitch, there's a link for that in the Twitch description somewhere as well, too. We'd love to have you on and just be a part of the crew. We have a lot of great discussions about games, mailbag section. We have a food and drink section. We have pets. We talk about our pets. It's great. And, we talk about the March Madness, too. So if you've been enjoying that, swing on by and say hello.
Couldn't agree more.
So on that note, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night.